So for the longest time I've been threatening to write a blog about why I've moved back from Things to Omnifocus. After starting in Omnifocus I moved to Things, and then a while later I moved back to Omnifocus. And it's something I've been meaning to blog on because lots of people ask me why I switched from Things back to Omnifocus. And it's a good question, and one I completely understand. The thing to bear in mind, of course, is that Omnifocus is much more expensive than Things, especially when you add an iPhone app on top of that and an iPad app, as I do. So why did I make the change back? Well, I'm not ever going to get around to blogging it. I've got far too many other work things to blog about, but I figured I could record a short little video that kind of explains my thinking of why I've ended up with Omnifocus rather than Things. I think the first thing to say is both are brilliant apps, and both are very, very strong, and there is no right or wrong answer when it comes to this. I think if you pick either of them, that's absolutely fine. I completely understand your choice either way. For me personally, I think there are a number of reasons why I tend towards using Omnifocus rather than Things. I think for a start, Omnifocus is much truer to the getting things done methodology that really both apps are built around. I think Things has gone further away from that, particularly in its use of tags rather than contexts. Now, if you know about GTD, then you'll know about how important contexts are, and there's no doubt you can use tags in the same way as you would use context, but it's not quite the same. It's not got quite that level of control that you get with context for Omnifocus. For example, the context in Omnifocus can be associated with specific locations, and you've got this location aware feature. So essentially, if you arrive at a particular location, a particular context, then you get an automatic update. For me, that's absolutely invaluable, and it gets to the heart of what context is all about. If you've read Getting Things Done, you'll remember David Allen's reference to batteries. When do you remember that you need new batteries? Well, it's not in the store when you're standing staring at batteries, rather it's next time you get the torch out of the drawer and find out its batteries are dead. So me working with context is an important part, so that when I'm in that store I get a notification telling me that I need to buy batteries. So Things doesn't have that in the same way as Omnifocus does. That said, Things' approach to tags are absolutely, are really good and very, very useful in many contexts. And so I'm not knocking Things for that. I'm just saying that for me, Omnifocus is closer to that GTD model that I follow very strictly. However, if you don't follow that model, then that's not going to be as a big deal for you. What may be a bigger deal is the fact that Omnifocus is much, much more configurable than Things is. Things looks beautiful, it's got a very great user experience, but it is quite limited in how you can configure that for your individual needs. When it comes to Omnifocus, on the other hand, you can change all aspects of its appearance. You can also change what data is displayed in what particular views, and you can also create these things called perspectives. And perspectives allow you to essentially save certain set views. So you can say, show me all the next events that I've got coming up that I've already flagged, for example. That level of configuration isn't available in Things. And I guess it's the old debate, and it depends on the type of person you are. Some people love that crafted user experience, while other people want the power. And that is your choice there between Things and Omnifocus. Omnifocus is your power app, Things is your crafted user experience. Now, it's funny in that regards why I've ended up leaning towards Omnifocus rather than Things, because in most cases I will go for the crafted user experience every time. But in this particular case, I wanted that power, and that power comes with Omnifocus. I have to say there's also an impression that I get that the Omni group that produce Omnifocus are much more committed to the long-term development of Omnifocus than Things are. Things is updated occasionally, but not with the frequency and commitment that you're seeing from the Omni group. I find them very responsive. They're always there to help with support issues if you need it. And you get a level of commitment to that product that I'm not seeing with things. That might not be a big deal for you, but for me, there is, you know, I'm a junkie for the next feature and the new stuff, and I'm seeing a long-term commitment from Omnifocus and a consistent quality in what they're putting out. One thing that is an absolute killer for me when it came to things was that it doesn't support dependent tasks. So what do I mean by that? Well, in the world of things, you can organise items into projects, but you can't specify what type of project they are. So in Omnifocus, for example, you've got 3 different types of projects. You've got bucket lists, where basically you're just dropping in random tasks into it, and they're all of equal importance, and they don't really have any dependency on one another. Then you have parallel projects, where you have a whole load of different tasks that can be done, but they don't have to be done in order. But if you just want to see the first item in that project, you can do. Then there are sequential projects. These are really lacking from things, and that's the idea. You can't do B until you've completed A. And for me, that's a really big deal, because it's really good to be able to not have to see tasks that you can't complete at any particular time. In things, you're exposed to all of those other tasks, whether or not you want to see them. In Omnifocus, they essentially will hide them away if you want, because there's nothing you can do about them. You can't complete task B, C and D until task A is completed. So having that sense of hierarchy and dependency in tasks is really, really important. The other thing that I absolutely love about Omnifocus, and is completely lacking from things, is the weekly review, reviewing those tasks on an ongoing basis. This is a concept that is intrinsic to getting things done, but it's completely absent from the things application. And for me, doing that weekly review is absolutely vital. But Omnifocus doesn't even just limit me to a weekly review. You say, well, okay, you could put in your calendar that every Friday you're going to do a weekly review, and you could do that, go through all your tasks in things. But what Omnifocus will do is that it will allow me to review a task and tick it off as reviewed. Yes, I have looked at this. Yes, I have looked at this. So if I can't do my review all in one go, I can pick it up at a later date. I can also identify some tasks that don't need to be reviewed every week, but need to be reviewed every month or every quarter or every year in some cases. So this concept of reviewing is baked into the application, which it just isn't in things. Best of all, the reviewing feature is just implemented so beautifully in their iPad app. And that kind of brings me on to the final reason why I switched back from things to Omnifocus, which is I get this real feeling that Omnifocus on the iPhone and iPad is just a superior application. It's beautifully crafted, it's a great user experience, and actually where the user experience may be a little bit weak on the desktop version, when it comes to the iPhone and iPad, I actually think it's probably superior in a lot of ways to things. When you start bringing the iPad and the iPhone into the equation as well as the desktop app, that's where syncing becomes hugely important. And Omnifocus have got a kind of well-established syncing process that is just so much more reliable for me personally than what I experienced on the Things app. So because I'm switching between all these different applications on a regular basis, I wanted a really robust syncing application that I knew that if I entered something on one device, it would appear on the other. So that said, there are things about things that I'm going to miss. There are some features that are lacking from Omnifocus that are found in things. One of them is the cleaner user interface. Things on the Mac is absolutely beautiful. It is a beautifully designed app that's really, really clean. And although you can customize the user interface of Omnifocus quite considerably, and I have done a lot of customization, it's never quite as clean and quite as simple as the way things are presented in Things. Also, until recently, only Things supported weekday repeating tasks. You know, there are a lot of tasks that I do work related that I have to do every day of the week, but not at weekends. So for example, every day of the week I check the BOAG World Forum to see what people are saying, and that kind of weekly task. But it was really annoying when I originally used Omnifocus that these would be triggered at the weekends as well. So I'd have these tasks being put in my face that, let's face it, I just wasn't going to do over the weekend. Now that's been recently rectified on Omnifocus, and so that's all the more reason for me to be returning back to Omnifocus away from Things. The one thing that Things does that I'm really going to miss, and I really wish that Omnifocus would allow, is the idea of applying multiple contexts to your individual tasks. So, for example, although they don't have kind of context as such in Things, they do have this concept of tagging, and you can apply as many tags to something as you want, and that can be really useful in some situations. So, for example, let's say one of my tasks was to check out a particular website, right? Somebody had recommended a website that I should look at, say the new Less system for writing CSS. Somebody had said, check out Less, it's really cool, you really should be using it. So I add that into Omnifocus. Now I put that under maybe a context of Mac Online, or anywhere online for that matter. But also, it's quite a no-brainer task. It's not a task that I need to think about a lot. So what I would like to do is I would like to say, okay, I need an internet connection to be able to check out that. So that's my context, is I need to be online. But I'd also like to create a context of too tired, right? And that's a context that I have, which is I'm too tired to do proper work. I want something lightweight and easy to do. So that way, if I've got an internet connection, I can pull up all of the tasks that I've got that allow me to do stuff while I'm online, but I'd also like to pull up all the tasks that are available to me while I'm just too tired to do anything else. But Omnifocus doesn't allow those multiple tasks. Then you can kind of bodge it, you can put hashtags in the subject field, which kind of replicates the tag effect that you've got on Things, but really it would be nice to have that more integrated into the product. So that's pretty much it. That is Omnifocus and Things, and why I've eventually settled on Omnifocus. But that doesn't mean you should. Omnifocus is a great application, but Things has got a lot going for it as well. And if you're not such a GTD nerd as me, if you're not really into David Allen's system, then you'll probably find that Things is more than adequate for you. It's cheaper, it's got a great UI, and its tagging system is very, very powerful and very useful. So there you go, those are your options. You pay your money and you take your choice.